tribulations, my heart, my balls, my somebody stop, somebody come and get me. Little did I know that the Lord was riding with me. The law, the light, my heart, the fight, the wrong, the right is gone.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another JVS movie review. Now today, and I'm shooting this like right after seeing it. Now today, I had the fortunate pleasure of being able to check out the latest from the disaster movie Icon. He's definitely Icon as a director. He's the guy you go to for disaster films. If you like Independence Day, 2012, or any disaster film, I think he may have done the day the Earth stood, not the day the Earth stood still, the day after. I think he may have done that one too. He does them all, and he does them all really, really well. The latest film from, hold on, let me get it right. The latest film from Roland Emmerich, and this one is Moonfall. I'll say this: I knew little to nothing about this film. I just knew the moon was attacking people. But let's give you a quick synopsis. The moon is knocked from its orbit by an unknown force and put onto a collision course with Earth. Two astronauts and a conspiracy theorist work together to attempt to avert disaster and discover that the moon is not what it seems. And this one stars Halle, Patrick Wilson, John Bradley, and MichaelPeña. Let's start off by saying, or getting it out the way early. The dialogue in this movie is horrible. If you've seen a disaster movie, you've seen this dialogue before. It all exists the same way. It's the one thing you can't really change in disaster movies because you're not there for the dialogue. The acting at times is absolutely silly. Amazingly that you could get three great actors in Michael, Halle, and Patrick to say and do the things they do in this movie. Bravo, because I don't know how he was able to pull that off. But this is an extremely entertaining film that I would watch over and over and over and over again. That's the best way to put it. So, Moonfall starts off just by the basic line of the story. We see Patrick and Halle Berry. They are in space. It starts off in 2011. They're in space. Something happens. Something comes up and attacks them. We don't know what this is that attacks them, but from the distance we can see this thing digging into the moon. And then 10 years later, we get a report that the moon is off its orbit and that it's heading towards Earth. And while at first, the scientists thought maybe you have 3 months, then it turns out no, because the closer it gets to Earth, the gravity pull, it's going to start breaking the moon apart. You got 3 weeks to try to find out something to do, or we're all going to die. And then that's when we get to the disaster elements of this film. And just like every other film that Roland has, they look amazing. Granted, he is not a fan of caring for the little human lives, the little ants that you see going around on screen, because he kills them with reckless abandonment in this movie. But the destruction is shot and looks beautiful. Yes, there's a lot of CGI in this movie. This is an independent movie that cost $140 million to make. He made sure it cost just enough to make it look good, and it looks really good. And even when it's not the CGI moments, it's the shots he set up. Looks really good. Like, it works for a disaster film. You're not supposed to think about these type of things. You're not supposed to think about how the heck does the moon fall out of orbit and why is it heading towards Earth and everything that happens once it's heading towards Earth. Those are things we're not supposed to think about, including the families that are included here. Patrick has a disgraced son that we magically get to see start off as a kid, grow up as an adult male who's just reckless as humanly possible. We get Halle Berry. She has a divorced husband, and she has a little son that we get to see on screen at first for a couple of seconds, and then we see him a lot later on in the film. And then MichaelPeña is the now new husband of Patrick Wilson's ex-wife. It's a bunch of stuff going on with family here. But in disaster films, family are only good for moments where the audience needs to be captivated by them escaping danger. And boy, do they escape danger in this film all the time. it so much reminded me of John Cusack in 2012, the way some of these scenes broke down. Again, if you've seen one disaster film, you've seen them all. The thing that separates it is how is the disaster going to happen? So between the moon breaking apart, from the floods happening, from everything that's going on from this event, and from humans being stupid, because we're stupid in every disaster movie, it is almost like every time something bad happens, the first thing we say is nuke it and we'll be fine. I don't get it. It's like, it's literally in every disaster film. If we can nuke it, we're gonna nuke it. And it just shows that maybe humans aren't the smartest people to deal with these type of situations here. But again, as a film, this is highly entertaining. It's not good. It's not a good movie, but it is definitely something I think you could take the family to see. I think kids will love this movie. It's just enough cuteness in it, and there are kids in it also, and they get to see kids in a little bit of a danger situation. And there are some stunts in here that make absolutely no sense. There are some stunts that will make Fast 9 seem reasonable, and there's stunts in cars in this film that will make Fast 9 seem reasonable. Like, you're like, oh, okay, because if they can do that in this movie, then clearly Fast 9 is not an issue at all. But again, it's key elements of the film that really work well. One, it is not a typical disaster film. I'll say that much because I won't give away any elements of it. As you heard in the synopsis, with the moon and the moon not being what it seems and all that other stuff, let's just say it's a lot of different elements in this disaster film that separates it from other disaster films. Those elements, for most people, will still come across as extremely silly. But again, they just help make the film more entertaining. Again, this is a film you go into to shut your brain off. Try not to think about everything. If you think about things, you're going to be mad at yourself that you even sat down and watched the movie, because you're going to overthink all the steps here. This is a movie you just go in, grab your popcorn, get your drink, and just sit and watch. I think this will be the perfect movie for streaming services once it's done its theater run. And again, the way theaters are now, I'm not necessarily sure that it needed a theater run, but once it gets in that streaming VOD market, this movie is going to do great. Kind of like Greenland with Rob Butler, how it picked up audiences through the streaming and through the VOD. I think this one will do the exact same thing, because I think this is a film that is a family you can watch and be entertained for about the hour and 50 minutes that it is. But the whole time, it doesn't have really boring spots in it. It's always action because it's a disaster movie, and I think people will like it for that reason. Now, purposely, I did not mention anything about Halle Berry's acting. I did not mention anything about Patrick Wilson's acting. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that to them. It's a well-directed disaster film with horrible dialogue, wooden acting, but who cares? How could they take it seriously? The moon is attacking the earth. Come on, people. So, Moonfall, which releases February the 4th. So we're about a week away from its release date. Out of a possible 10, I'm going to give Moonfall, and this is just me personally, 7.5 out of 10. This movie is so entertaining. 10 minutes in, it's enough stuff that happens, and I say, yep, I don't need to think about this. I just need to see the moon attack the earth. And it did it. You got to give a film credit that it does exactly what it's meant to do. The name of the movie is Moonfall. What did you think you were going to get? The moon falling. Perfect. It gave me exactly what I came here to see. And for that reason alone, I think this movie works. It's because it's no pretense to it. None of the actors take themselves seriously in this film, and that's the biggest fault of some disaster films, is when the actors take themselves way too seriously for this type of film. You can tell that Halle Berry knows this is silly, and that she's like, I'm just gonna have fun with this, because some of her lines are just cringeworthy, but they work, because as long as the moon attacks the earth, you should be happy. This has been another JVS movie review. Peace, people.